I was reborn at the exact moment I picked up the wrong glass. The one meant for my boss. This time, I didn't take the wrong glass. I watched him drink it down, then dial the woman he truly loved, Celeste. In my past life, I was Dominic's secretary, and I fell in love with him. When the drug hit my system, I didn't care that he needed to get to Celeste. I grabbed his belt and made him stay. Not long after I found out I was pregnant, Dominic was forced to marry me. But on the day I went into labor with complications, he got the news Celeste had thrown herself off a building. Destroyed by grief, stormed into the delivery room and sent the doctors away. Then he watched me die. The last thing I heard was his voice. If you hadn't gotten pregnant, I never would have been forced to marry you. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day I was poisoned. Iris, call Celeste right now. Hearing that familiar command again, I jolted awake. I'd been reborn. Without hesitation, I grabbed my phone and dialed Celeste's number. Dominic's face was flushed, his eyes burning with desire. The drug was kicking in. This time, I watched coldly as he downed the entire glass. As the drug began to take hold and he looked at me with struggling, hazy eyes, I quickly finished dialing Celeste. Dominic, just hang on. Celeste will be here in 10 minutes. Moment I closed the door behind me, I thought I heard him call my name, but I pretended not to hear. I shut the door firmly and waited at the end of the hallway. 10 minutes later, Celeste arrived in a rush. She looked at me with a complicated expression. When she saw that my clothes were intact and I was perfectly composed, relief washed over her face for pushing open the door. She glanced at me.
You can leave now.
I don't need you here. I turned and took the elevator down, called a car, and went back to my apartment. The next morning, Celeste appeared in the executive office. Dominic lifted his coffee, took a sip, then casually announced to the core management team, "From now on, Celeste is my fiancée. She's also an important future partner for the company. You will all treat her with respect." And he looked directly at me, pointing with his pen, "Especially you, Iris." I nodded blankly. Celeste smirked, flashing me a triumphant smile. I pretended not to notice. I gathered the meeting notes and started to leave the office. But just as I stood up, I heard Celeste's voice, soft and wounded. "Dominic, does Iris not want me involved in company affairs? I know how important she is to you. If she's unhappy with me being here, maybe I shouldn't come to the office anymore." Her eyes glistened with tears. She looked as pitiful as possible. Dominic frowned. Before he could say anything, I replied, "Of course not. But if you're not satisfied with me, I'll make sure to stay out of your sight from now on." Without waiting for Dominic's reaction, I walked straight back to my office. Half an hour later, my office door swung open and there he was, Dominic, staring at me with dark, stormy eyes. Instinctively, I wanted to close the door. I didn't want to deal with him. But Dominic blocked it with his arm, frowning as he looked at me. "Are you avoiding me?"
Why?
He leaned in closer, studying my face. "Are you upset because of Celeste?" I quickly shook my head. "No. I'm happy for you. You and Celeste finally get to be together." His eyes flickered with something unreadable. He seemed dissatisfied with my answer. "Is that the truth, or are you just being passive-aggressive?" Then he scoffed, "Iris, don't tell me you still haven't gotten over me. 3 years ago at the company party, you kissed me when you were drunk. You think I didn't notice? The smartest thing you ever did was never confess. Because if you had, I would have laughed in your face. Laughed at how pathetic and delusional you are." He chuckled to himself, then walked over to my desk and yanked open the bottom drawer. He grabbed a thick stack of printed journal pages and scattered them across the floor. Stepping on them, he leaned down close to my ear, his voice low. "I came here to tell you something. Yesterday, when I drank that wine, I saw the look in your eyes. You wanted to be the one to help me, didn't you? Thank God you didn't. Because if you had, I would have been disgusted for the rest of my life. You're not worth it." My heart clenched painfully, even though I decided not to love him in this life. Hearing those cruel words still hurt. After warning me to stay away from him and not make Celeste uncomfortable, Dominic slammed the door and left. I didn't want to be in their way anymore. I had to go out and finalize my transfer paperwork anyway, so I packed up and left that night. I deliberately waited until almost 10 p.m. to return to the office, to pick up some things. The moment I stepped into my office, I noticed something was wrong. My custom ergonomic chair gone. Then I saw it. Celeste had posted on social media a selfie of herself sitting in a luxurious office chair. The caption read, "I just mentioned my back was sore. And he immediately gave me the best chair in the whole company. This is why it's so important to find a man with power, money, and thoughtfulness." He'd taken the chair Dominic had custom ordered for me.
He used to be so good to me.
And now Celeste made one offhand comment. And Dominic didn't even bother telling me. before he had my chair taken away. Hearing me return, Dominic stood in my doorway and said, coolly, Celeste has back problems. I gave her your chair. Your injuries healed anyway. Any chair will do for you now. I didn't even look up. I murmured. Dominic's frown deepened, stared at me intently. Are you plotting something? I'm warning you, if you dare do anything to Celeste, I'll make sure you never work in this industry again. I finally looked up. I'm not trying to do anything to anyone. I just want to be left alone. And isn't this what you always wanted? For me to be more professional? You should be happy. Dominic pressed his lips together. Then, almost like a sulking child, he repeated, fine. Fine, Iris. You're just great. He slammed the door on his way back to his office. A month later, Celeste announced she was pregnant. Dominic was over the moon. He wanted to tell the whole world. The wedding was moved up immediately. Everyone in the company was gossiping about the upcoming ceremony. In this life, the one who got pregnant was the woman he actually loved. And I decided to let them have it. As soon as my transfer paperwork was finalized, I booked a flight to Italy scheduled for the same day as their wedding. Dominic finally broke and came to find me. He waited until Celeste wasn't at the office and pushed open my door. He pulled out his phone, opened an email from HR, and shoved it in my face. You applied for an overseas transfer?
What?
You're so devastated by my wedding that you're running away? My heart skipped, but his next words eased my tension a little. When I didn't answer, his tone turned cold. Iris, are you done with this tantrum? Ever since Celeste started coming to the office, you've been avoiding me. But I'm going to marry her eventually. So what? You're planning to keep avoiding me even after the wedding? I shook my head. Dominic, I think you misunderstand. I only see you as the boss who mentored me.
I'm grateful.
That's all. He laughed. I just told the funniest joke. Grateful? Iris, everyone in this company knows you're hopelessly in love with me. Who's going to believe you're just grateful? Do you even believe that yourself? He glanced at the bookshelf in my office and smirked. All these gifts I gave you over the years. You've kept them so carefully, and you're telling me you don't love me? He walked over and picked up the items one by one. A limited edition pen, a brooch, a watch. Then he said seriously, you should put all this stuff away. I'm about to marry Celeste. You need to stop holding on to these ridiculous fantasies. I said, and immediately started packing everything into a cardboard box. I was planning to get rid of it all before leaving the country anyway.
Might as well do it now.
Seeing how calm I was, Dominic frowned and grabbed my wrist. Iris, can't you be more careful? Look, you bent the nib on this pen. I glanced at the luxury pen in his hand. It was the first gift he ever gave me, the day I passed my probation and officially became his secretary. For years, I treasured it. I wouldn't let anyone else even touch it. But now I just tossed it carelessly into a box. And Dominic couldn't stand it. Iris, you're clearly devastated about me marrying Celeste. You're running away, but now you're pretending you don't love me anymore. He exhaled sharply. Fine. Maybe it's good for you to cool off overseas. Celeste is in a delicate stage of her pregnancy. It's better if you're not around. Anyway, Dominic pulled out his phone and transferred $10,000 to me. Take this, get yourself settled in Italy after work. Travel around a bit. Take a month to clear your head.
Bye.
Then Celeste's pregnancy will be stable. He looked at me meaningfully. Adjust your mindset while you're abroad. Don't miss me too much.
I'm going to be a married man. You need to get used to it.
Otherwise, working together later is going to be awkward. Dominic gave me a few more instructions about the overseas assignment, but he didn't know I'd been reborn. And this time I was really leaving. On Dominic's wedding day, both the hotel and the company headquarters were bustling. Early in the morning, while everyone was focused on the ceremony, I quietly grabbed my suitcase, got in a cab, and headed straight to. Dominic had changed into his wedding suit, but he didn't leave with the groomsmen to pick up the bride. For some reason, he found himself walking to Iris's office, wanted to see her one last time. But when he got there, the office was empty. All her personal belongings were gone. The only thing left on her desk was a standard resignation handover checklist. His heart skipped a beat. He assumed she must have gone to the wedding venue early to help with preparations. That thought calmed him down enough to go pick up Celeste. He was beyond excited. Today, he was finally marrying the love of his life. And soon they'd have a child together. Just thinking about it made him smile uncontrollably. The moment he saw Celeste.
Perspective, Dominic.
The wedding was perfect. That's what everyone kept telling him. The flowers were imported white lilies, Celeste's favorite. The champagne was vintage. Celeste looked like a porcelain doll in her couture gown, her hand resting protectively over her barely there baby bump. Yet, as Dominic stood at the altar, slipping the diamond band onto Celeste's finger, his eyes involuntarily darted to the back of the hall. Empty. She really didn't come, he thought, a spike of irritation piercing his joy. She's actually sulking in Italy. How childish. Dominic. Celeste whispered, squeezing his hand. You're spacing out. He blinked, forcing a smile. Just overwhelmed by how beautiful you are. It was the right thing to say, but it felt mechanical. Later, at the reception, the feeling of wrongness deepened. A waiter spilled a drop of red wine near his cuff. Instinctively, Dominic turned to his left, expecting a handkerchief and a stain remover pen to appear instantly. Oh no, Celeste giggled, sipping her juice. Honey, you're clumsy today.
She didn't offer a napkin. She just laughed.
Dominic stared at her, then at the stain. Iris would have had this fixed in 3 seconds without anyone noticing. It's fine, he told himself, rubbing the spot aggressively. Iris will be back in a month. She just needs to get this jealousy out of her system. Perspective. Iris. The wheels of the plane touched down in Florence just as the sun was setting, painting the Tuscan sky in violently beautiful shades of purple and gold. I turned my phone on. A flood of notifications popped up. Photos from the company group chat of the wedding, gossip about Celeste's dress. I selected Select All and hit Delete. Then I opened the banking app. The $10,000 Dominic had sent me, hush money to stay away during his happy moment, sat there. I transferred it to a local charity for single mothers. I didn't want a penny of his money. I had my savings and, more importantly, I had my dignity. I walked out of the airport and breathed in the cool air. It didn't smell like sterile office toner or Dominic's expensive cologne. It smelled like rain and cypress. Signora Iris? A driver held up a sign.
Sí, smiled.
I wasn't here for a transfer. Dominic had signed the papers without reading them. He thought he was approving a temporary overseas assignment to our Italian branch. What he actually signed was a highly specific recommendation letter attached to my resignation, waiving the non-compete clause. I wasn't working for his branch. I had been headhunted by his biggest European competitor, the Rossi Group. I wasn't running away. I was leveling up. Time. 3 weeks later. Dominic sat in his office, the headache behind his eyes throbbing like a second heartbeat. Where is the Q3 merger file? He barked. The new assistant, a terrified girl named Sarah, trembled. I can't find it on the server, Mr. Dominic. I asked Celeste, but she said she didn't know. Celeste is the new director of operations. Why wouldn't she know? He stormed out of his office and down the hall to where Iris used to sit. The door was open. Celeste was there, reclining in the expensive ergonomic chair he had stolen from Iris. She was on her phone, scrolling through baby furniture catalogs. Celeste, Dominic said, trying to keep his voice level. The merger files. She looked up, pouting. Dom, don't shout. It's bad for the baby. And how should I know? Iris filed everything in some weird system. It's not weird. It's alphabetical and chronological. Just look in the drawer. I needed space for my prenatal vitamins and snacks, Celeste said, gesturing to the open drawers. So I shredded those dusty old papers. They looked boring. Dominic froze. The silence in the room was deafening. You shredded the hard copies? They were just paper, Dom. Why are you looking at me like that? You said I could make this office my own. Tears welled up in her eyes. The weapon she always used. Are you yelling at me? Are you stressing out our child over some paper? In the past, Dominic would have melted. He would have apologized. But today, looking at the empty drawers where Iris had meticulously organized 3 years of his life, he felt a cold knot of dread. Get out, he whispered.
What?
Go home, Celeste. Just go home. He returned to his desk and grabbed his phone. He needed Iris. He needed her to tell him she had digital backups. He needed her calm voice. He dialed her number. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. He frowned and tried WhatsApp.
Blocked.
Email. Undeliverable. Panic, cold and sharp, finally pierced his arrogance. He called HR. Get me Iris's contact in Italy. The hotel she's staying at. Mr. Dominic? The HR manager sounded confused. Iris isn't in a hotel. And she's not with our branch. What are you talking about? I signed the transfer. Sir, you signed a glowing recommendation and a waiver of the non-compete for her transition to Rossi Group. She's their new vice president of strategy in Milan. She started 2 weeks ago. Dominic dropped the phone, the limited edition pen on his desk, the one Iris had bent, and he had yelled at her for, rolled off the edge and hit the floor. She hadn't run away to cry. She had run away to replace him. Time. 2 months later. The company was bleeding. Without Iris managing the back end, deadlines were missed. Contracts were lost. And Celeste was a nightmare. She wasn't just incompetent. She was malicious. She fired competent female staff she felt threatened by. She spent company funds on office decor that looked like a nursery. And every time Dominic tried to discipline her, she played the pregnancy card. Dominic sat in his apartment, drinking scotch. It was dark. He missed the way Iris used to make sure his fridge was stocked. He missed how she knew he needed silence after 8 p.m. He opened the box Iris had left behind. The trash he had told her to pack. Inside, he found the diary pages he had scattered on the floor that day. He hadn't read them then. He had just mocked her. Now, desperate for any connection to her, he smoothed out a crumpled page. Entry: October 14th, 3 years ago. Dominic has a fever. He refuses to go to the hospital. I stayed up all night putting cold compresses on his forehead. He kept calling Celeste's name in his sleep. It hurts, but as long as he's safe, I can bear it. I love him enough to be a shadow. Entry: June 2nd. He got the deal.
I've never seen him smile like that.
He hugged me. For a second, I thought he saw me.
Really saw me.
But then he pulled away and asked if I'd ordered flowers for Celeste. I ordered orchids. I know he thinks they're her favorite, but they're actually mine. It's my little secret. Dominic's hand trembled. He remembered the orchids. He had always praised Celeste for her taste in flowers, and she had never corrected him. Iris. It had always been Iris. He dug deeper into the box. There was a USB drive labeled "in case of emergency." He plugged it in. It wasn't work files. It was a video. A security recording from the night of the poisoning incident, the night he was reborn, the night he thought Iris was trying to trap him. The angle was from the hallway. It showed Dominic stumbling, drugged. It showed Iris helping him into the room. And then it showed Celeste. In the video, Celeste arrived before Iris called her. She stood outside the door, listening to Dominic groan. She checked her watch. She pulled out a compact mirror and fixed her lipstick. She waited until the sounds of struggle quieted down before she rushed in looking panicked. Dominic felt like he'd been punched in the gut. In his past life, he thought Iris had delayed calling Celeste to sleep with him. But in this life, Iris had called immediately. And Celeste had always been calculating. He looked at the date of the file. Iris had saved this. She had proof of Celeste's true nature. She could have shown him. She could have ruined Celeste. The smartest thing you ever did was never confess, because I would have laughed in your face. His own words echoed in his skull. She didn't show him because she knew he wouldn't believe her. She didn't fight for him because he wasn't worth fighting for. Location: Milan, Italy. Dominic looked terrible. He had lost 10 pounds. His suit was wrinkled. He had flown to Milan on a whim, leaving a furious Celeste blowing up his phone. He stood outside the Rossi Group headquarters, waiting. At 6 p.m., the doors opened. Dominic straightened up, preparing his speech. He would apologize. He would offer her a raise. He would tell her he knew the truth about the orchids. Then she walked out. Iris looked breathtaking. She wasn't wearing the gray, stifling pencil skirts she wore for him. She wore a tailored crimson suit that screamed power. Her hair was loose, blowing in the wind. She wasn't holding a stack of files. She was holding a gelato. And she wasn't alone. A man was walking beside her. Tall, with warm Italian features and eyes that looked at Iris, like she was the only person in the world. He said something, and Iris threw her head back and laughed, a sound Dominic hadn't heard in 2 lifetimes. Dominic stepped forward, his jealousy flaring. Iris. The laughter stopped. Iris turned. Her eyes found him. There was no love in them.
No cut.
No fear. Just indifference. The kind of look you give a stranger who bumped into you on the street. Dominic, she said politely. What are you doing here? I need to talk to you. Alone. He glared at the Italian man. Leo is my fiancé, Iris said calmly, grabbing the man's hand. Anything you have to say, you can say in front of him. Fiancé. Dominic choked. It's been 3 months. You can't love him. You loved me for 10 years. The street went quiet. Leo stepped forward protectively, but Iris held him back. She stepped closer to Dominic, her gaze steel. I loved a version of you that I created in my head, Dominic. I loved the potential of you. But the real you? She looked him up and down. The real you is a man who treats devotion like a weakness and manipulation like a prize. You didn't love Celeste. You loved that she was unattainable. And you didn't hate me. You hated that I saw your flaws and fixed them. I know about the orchids, Dominic said desperately. I know about the diary. I made a mistake, Iris. Celeste, she's not who I thought.
I'm miserable.
The company is falling apart. I need you. Iris smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes.
You don't need me, Dominic.
You need a nanny. You need a maid. You need a punching bag. And I am done auditioning for those roles. I can change, he pleaded, reaching for her hand. She stepped back. I already died for you once, Dominic. In my heart. That girl who loved you? You killed her with that glass of wine, and your cruelty. She's gone. She turned to Leo. Andiamo? Si, amore, Leo said, casting one last pitiful look at Dominic. Wait. Dominic shouted as they walked away. I'm having a child. My marriage is a disaster. You can't just leave me like this. Iris paused. She didn't look back. She just called out over her shoulder. Good luck, Dominic. You finally have the life you chose. Enjoy it. Dominic returned to the city, defeated. When he landed, he found his office in chaos. The board of directors had called an emergency meeting. The loss of the Rossi account, orchestrated by Iris's brilliant strategy, had tanked the stock. And at home, the final blow waited. Celeste wasn't pregnant. She had been faking it with silicone bumps and forged doctor's notes to secure the marriage. He found the prosthetics in the trash when he came home early. The divorce was messy. Celeste took half of what was left of his dwindling fortune. The scandal of the fake pregnancy and the company's collapse turned Dominic into a pariah in the industry. 5 years later, Dominic sat in a small, cramped cubicle. He was a mid-level manager at a logistics firm now. He looked older than his years, his hair graying at the temples. He opened a business magazine on his lunch break. The cover featured a woman in a white power suit, standing next to a handsome man and holding a toddler. Woman of the Year, Iris Rossi on merging compassion with corporate strategy. The article detailed her meteoric rise, her happy marriage to the heir of the Rossi empire, and her beautiful twin daughters. She looked radiant.
Alive. Free.
Dominic traced her face on the glossy paper. Hey Dom, his new boss, a man 10 years younger than him, shouted from across the room. Quit reading and get me that coffee. And make sure it's hot this time. Dominic closed the magazine. The pain in his chest was dull, familiar, and permanent.
Coming, he said.
He stood up, picked up the cheap mug, and walked toward the break room. He had been reborn to correct his mistake. And he realized, far too late, that his mistake wasn't picking up the wrong glass. His mistake was thinking he was the main character of her story. He took a sip of the bitter, lukewarm office coffee, and for the first time in 2 lives, he truly understood what it meant to be the one left behind.